A very good evening to everyone. This is Shubham. Welcome back to Medical Concepts. I hope you are enjoying the sessions. So today we are going to discuss about the compensatory and the adjustment processes. Let's begin with the question number 57. Autopsy of a 57-year-old man who had hypertensive disease and died of cardiac decompensation has shown an enlarged heart with dilated cavities. Okay. Weight is given around 550 grams. Thickness of the left ventricle wall is around 2.5 centimeter. Definitely we can see that this is the case of myocardial hypertrophy, as they are talking about the dilated cavities, enlarged heart. Thickness is given for the left ventricle wall. Microscopically they are saying that cardiomyocytes noticeably enlarged, right, with the fatty degeneration and hyperchromic barrel shaped nuclei. Fine. So what is the most possible pathological process given over here in this particular question? Okay, so guys, basically first of all you need to know what condition are they talking about, okay, before the answering, because once you know the diagnosis over here particular, that they, what thing they want to know from you. For example, this particular case, if I will talk about that, then this is the case of as I said, myocardial hypertrophy, isn't it? So first of all you should know what are they talking about. Okay, so they are talking about the myocardial hypertrophy. Okay, now once you know that they are talking about the myocardial hypertrophy, then you should know some of the types of this myocardial hypertrophy, because in the options myocardial hypertrophy, as you can see, is not mentioned in the given MCQ, but they want to know the particular type of this myocardial hypertrophy. Okay, and for that they gave some kind of hint. Okay, so let's crack this MCQ now. Look, according to the adaptation, according to the stage of adaptation, two kinds of myocardial hypertrophy can be appreciated. First one is concentric hypertrophy and the other one is the eccentric hypertrophy. Okay, now listen to the discussion very carefully. Concentric hypertrophy is seen whenever there is an enlargement of the myocardium. Okay, so I am saying that myocardium will be enlarged. Along with that, chambers of the heart are not dilated. I repeat, in the concentric hypertrophy, the cardiomyocytes, they will be enlarged, but chambers of the heart will not be dilated. This is the concentric hypertrophy. On the other hand, we are having one more type of the myocardial hypertrophy, and that is the eccentric hypertrophy. In the eccentric hypertrophy, myocardium is enlarged. You see, concentric and eccentric both are having the enlargement of the myocardium. But what is the basic difference? I told you in the concentric one that chambers of the heart are not dilated, but in the eccentric one, both myocardium as well as chambers, okay, they are having the proliferation, which means the myocardium is enlarged in the eccentric one, as well as chambers of the heart are also dilated. And in the given MCQ, they said that this was the case of myocardial hypertrophy, cardiac decompensation can be appreciated. There is the enlarged heart, so myocardium is enlarged, along with that dilated cavities. Okay, so this is the case of eccentric hypertrophy of the myocardial hypertrophy, okay, in the given case. So this is the case of eccentric hypertrophy. I hope you got this point. If you haven't, then please pause the video, go back and listen to the explanation again. However, I will be providing the notes in the description box below as well, so you can give a read over there as well. Okay, let's move on to the next one, question number 58. A 40-year-old man with a stenosis without metastasis cancer of esophagus has the atrophy. Okay, which means they are saying that the person is not having the cancer actually. So they, cancer, malignant cancer, all of them are having the property of the metastasis, but this one is not having, at least. Has the atrophy of the skeletal muscles and the subcutaneous fatty tissue. Important one. The skin is of sallow brown color. Okay, epidermis is thin, heart is diminished, the myocardium and the liver are of brown color. Diagnose the disease. They are talking about. Okay, so basically they were saying two important things they have mentioned over here. Look, first thing is atrophy of the skeletal muscle, second one atrophy of the subcutaneous fatty tissue. Okay, so this one, atrophy of the skeletal muscle and subcutaneous fatty tissue. Okay, and this atrophy can be appreciated where? This atrophy can be appreciated in cachexia. Okay, this atrophy can be appreciated in cachexia. So what is cachexia? Cachexia is nothing but at can be appreciated by the atrophy of the tissues. Okay, atrophy, it can be skeletal muscle tissue, okay, or it can be another tissue. For example, in this case they are giving the atrophy of the skeletal muscle and the subcutaneous fatty tissue. Now two kinds of major cachexia can be observed as far as these MCQs are concerned. One is the alimentary cachexia, okay, in which there is a problem with the diet, and second one is the cancer cachexia, in which obviously there can be the problem with the neoplasm, okay, or there can be the problem with the metastasis. So here they clearly mentioned that there is no metastasis. They said that this condition is without metastasis, which means there is no cancer. So you can easily rule out the cancer cachexia. So which one is left? This is the alimentary cachexia. So your answer will be alimentary cachexia. Along with that, guys, sallow brown color is given, skin sallow brown color. Yes, it can be seen in the cancer cachexia as well. But the basic point which you need to understand is that atrophy of the skeletal muscle and subcutaneous fatty tissue. First of all, you need to understand that they are talking about a cachexia. Then you should know which one is which kind of cachexia they are talking about. So this is not definitely the cancer cachexia because of no metastasis. So definitely it will be the alimentary cachexia. So your answer goes to alimentary cachexia. Okay, I hope you got the point. Let's move on to the next one, 59. A patient who had gastric carcinoma died of cancerous cachexia. Now they are talking about cancerous cachexia, guys. So metastasis can be seen over here. Autopsy has shown characteristic changes in the heart. Okay, now typical changes in the heart can be seen in the cancer cachexia due to the property of metastasis, due to the property of metastasis. Now how can we call such heart? So heart actually changes its colors from the red to the brown. That's why we are calling that. And along with that there is a atrophy. Okay, along with that there is a atrophy of the myocardium. So we are calling that as brown atrophic heart. Brown atrophic heart due to lipofusion in the heart. Okay, so I have inserted an image for you for better understanding. So lipofusion in the heart will cause a brown atrophy of the heart. So on the left side you can appreciate the normal heart. Okay, here you can appreciate the red color which is converting to the brown color. Okay, so here you can read the brown atrophy of the heart, right? Brown atrophy of the heart. So here the color is changing towards the brown, right? Brown atrophy of the heart. This is the microscopic finding and this one is the macroscopic finding. As I told you, the importance of the microscopic and the macroscopic finding, if you remember the initial videos of this discussion. So if you haven't watched those videos, so of course pause this video and go back to those videos and then come back again over here. So this is the microscopic finding in which you can see the tissues over here. Normal heart is having the reddish one and the brown atrophy of the heart is having the brown color, and below that you can see obviously the macroscopic finding, how they are changing the color. So this is the red one and this is the brown one. Okay, fine. So let's move further, and now let's talk about the question number 60. A teenager complains of muscular atrophy and the negative volume. Okay, they are talking about the muscular atrophy over here and negative volume of the shank after a long-term regenerative process of a shank, after the long-term regenerative process. Regeneration, you can see regeneration, or you can call that as healing, isn't it? Okay, regeneration or healing is the one and the same thing. So long-term regenerative process of the femur fracture without nerve damage. Okay, how can we term such atrophy? Okay, how can we term such atrophy? Fine. Look guys, you need to understand which kind of atrophy they are talking about. So first of all, let's understand what they are trying to say. Muscular atrophy was seen over here and negative volume of the shank. Okay, which means shank is actually reducing in size. In the simpler words, long-term healing process or long-term regenerative process of the femur fracture. Femur fracture, if there is some kind of we are relying on the legs, okay, all the time. If we are standing and if we are walking, if we are running, anytime we are relying on the femur, isn't it? Longest bone inside our body. Now look, if somebody is having, if this teenager is having unfortunately this femur fracture, we need to immobilize this femur fracture, isn't it? If we will be immobilizing this femur fracture, let's say with the help of any kind of plaster of Paris, then this limb will be in the same position for a longer period of time, right? So there is no mobilization, in the femur or in the thigh, right? Due to that what happens is there are more chances of atrophy inside the muscles of these legs or muscles of the thigh, you can say. Okay, due to that. So that's why a femur fracture can lead to this immobilization problem, and due to that atrophy may develop. Okay, now this kind of atrophy, because there is no use after the plaster, after the plaster, and why we are getting this plaster? Because of this femur fracture. After the plaster there is no use of this thigh, right? Because we need to immobilize that for the healing process. Which kind of atrophy we are calling that as? That is the disuse atrophy. Simple. Not using that particular muscle, not using the particular thigh, disuse, right? So this is the disuse atrophy. Disuse atrophy is not given in the option. Other name is dysfunctional atrophy. So what is that? So this is the name, this is the other name for dysfunctional one. What is that? Disuse atrophy. Okay, so this is the disuse atrophy. Okay, so I hope you got my point. So answer over here will be definitely dysfunctional atrophy. So what they were saying, that there was the muscular atrophy. Which muscular atrophy they are talking about? Thigh muscle atrophy. Why? There is negative volume of the shank due to that plaster, and long-term degenerative process of the femur fracture without nerves. So nerves are actually intact, but what is the problem? There is the atrophy of the muscle, atrophy of the thigh muscles. So that is the problem over here, and we are calling that a disuse atrophy or dysfunctional atrophy. Along with that, you can remember some more examples. So basically, what is dysfunctional or disuse atrophy? It actually develops due to reduction of function of some kind of organ. Here in our case, they gave us the example of femur fracture, so that can be the example. Along with that, any other example? Yes, atrophy of the pancreas can be there in case of obstruction of the pancreatic duct. If pancreatic duct will be obstructed for a longer period of time, there can be the atrophy of the pancreas in that case, right? Or other example, as we can see, atrophy of the muscles may happen due to immobilization. Okay, they gave you the femur fracture. If they will be giving the humerus fracture, then also which kind of atrophy may happen? Definitely disuse or dysfunctional atrophy. Okay, fine. I hope you got my point. Let's move on to the next one. Question number 61. Histological examination of an endometrium scrape of a 45-year-old woman who had a disordered ovarian menstrual cycle has shown an increased amount of endometrial glands. Some of them are corkscrew like convoluted, the other is the cystic dilated. Okay, diagnose the disease over here. As you can actually see in the question, they are talking about a cystic dilation. Okay, cystic means cyst, it's dilating in the endometrium. Okay, why is it happens? Usually because of more and more release of the estrogen inside the female. Okay, so in that case there can be the hyperproliferation or hyperplasia of the endometrium, and due to that menorrhagia may happen in that particular female. Okay, because more amount of estrogen, more and more proliferation of the endometrium. If there is more and more proliferation of the endometrium, more and more shedding of the endometrium, more and more shedding of the endometrium will cause the bleeding of the endometrium. So definitely this female patient will be having more menorrhagia. Look at the age of this female, 45-year-old, almost approaching towards menopause, right? So diagnose the disease. That is the glandulocystic hyperplasia, right? Cystic, as you can have some kind of resemblance with the MCQ itself, that cystic dilated, cysts are dilating in the endometrium, okay, which is obviously not normal. So glandular hyperproliferation is happening due to the more and more production of estrogen in the female, in this particular female. So answer will be definitely glandulocystic hyperplasia of endometrium. For making a better idea in your mind, so let me discuss this one with the image as well. So let's say, guys, this is the uterus. Okay, a very simple diagram of the uterus. So we can say this is the perimetrium, right, and this one is the myometrium, right? Metro means uterus, right, in the Greek, and the innermost is the endometrium over here, right? Endometrium. So let me make it more thicker endometrium. Okay, so this is the thicker, and what is actually happening here, gland like structure is present over here. So this gland like structure are there, right? And these glands over here, these cavities, as you can say, these kind of cavities, and due to estrogen proliferation, due to high production of estrogen, there is actually hyperproliferation of the endometrium. And if there is hyperproliferation of the endometrium layer, it has to shed off, and due to this shedding off, what will happen? The huge bleeding may happen. Okay, so it might bleed profusely, and we'll be calling that as menorrhagia. Okay, all these things will be more clear in the gynecology part obviously, but for now this should be helpful for you guys. Okay, so that was about the glandular cystic hyperplasia of the endometrium, right? So let's move on to the next one, question number 62. A patient is a heavy smoker. In the bronchus biopsy, so please remember they are talking about the heavy smoker. In the bronchus biopsy material, okay, in the thickened mucous membrane, they were detected a chronic inflammation and transformation of simple ciliated epithelium into the stratified pavement 1. Pavement means stratified squamous 1, you can say. Okay, so don't be confused over here. Simply I'm writing over here that they are talking about the stratified squamous epithelium. Fine, so please do not get confused. Okay, so the case of heavy smoker. Now while reading the medicine, okay, doesn't matter what subject you are reading, we are talking about the risk factor. Almost every risk factor for every disease, smoking and alcohol, they are somewhere risk factor for almost many kind of disease, I can say, right? Now heavy smoker, they took the biopsy of the bronchus. Fine, what they found, mucous membrane is thick, there is some kind of chronic inflammation, and there is the main point over here which you need to emphasize, that transformation of simple ciliated epithelium with the stratified squamous epithelium. Simple ciliated epithelium can be found where? Ciliated epithelium can be found in the respiratory tract, and stratified squamous epithelium can be found in the esophagus. Okay, now what is happening? Due to the smoking, the epithelium is getting changed, okay, and which is not good, because if the epithelium, because we are having a particular epithelium for the particular function in the particular organ. If the epithelium will be changing, let's say, let me give an example. If the stomach epithelium, we are having this simple columnar epithelium over there. If that simple columnar epithelium will be changed to the simple squamous one, our stomach will not be able to bear the environment of that acidic pH, right? So that is the main thing. So over here, transformation of one epithelium into the another one is happening. So that is the particular example of, or that is the classical example of the metaplasia. So basically, what is metaplasia? Metaplasia is defined as a reversible change of one type of epithelium or mesenchymal cells into the another type. Now remember, if you remove the stimulus, I said it is reversible. If you remove the stimulus, which means in this case, if the smoker stops the smoking, the epithelium can be reverted back to the normal one. So that is the good thing in the metaplasia. Okay, further metaplasia can lead to dysplasia and then anaplasia. Now that will lead to a malignant situation, that will lead to the malignant carcinoma. For an example, let me give an example of the Barrett esophagus. In Barrett esophagus, what happens is same thing, intestinal metaplasia will take place instead of the esophagus epithelium, that is the stratified squamous one, right? In that case also, what happens is, if that is due to the GERD, gastroesophageal reflux disease, if we will be resolving the problem of GERD, then we can actually prevent this situation. Otherwise, this situation, this metaplasia may lead to dysplasia, anaplasia, and then malignant carcinoma. For an example, squamous cell carcinoma may happen over there. Okay, and mostly in India, mostly the middle 1/3 portion of the esophagus is most usually affected. Okay, so in this particular question, this is the example of metaplasia. I hope you got my point. Okay, now if I'm talking about metaplasia, let me talk about some of the types also. So metaplasia is actually divided into two types: epithelial metaplasia and the mesenchymal metaplasia. So let me write it over here. So if I'm talking about the metaplasia, let me write it over here for you, okay, for future use. So metaplasia, I'm talking about metaplasia is having two types further. So metaplasia is divided into epithelial metaplasia and the mesenchymal metaplasia. Epithelial metaplasia is having further more types: squamous one and the columnar one. So squamous metaplasia and the columnar metaplasia. Okay, please note it down as well. Mesenchymal metaplasia is having also two types: osseous and cartilaginous. Osseous and cartilaginous, they are not asking you much, but however you can remember them. Mostly they are asking you the squamous metaplasia. Okay, For an example, one example of the smoker, for example, in our case they are talking about the smoking, right? So you can remember the smoker example with the squamous one. So smoker, S for smoker, S for squamous, if they are asking you the particular type of the metaplasia in case, right? Columnar one, you need to remember this as well. So epithelium, guys, epithelial metaplasia are more important, in which you can remember about the Barrett's esophagus example for an example, right? So squamous, so columnar metaplasia, you can remember the intestinal metaplasia case, so that can be remembered over here. Okay, that Barrett's esophagus example. Fine. So that is about the metaplasia. Okay, this thing you need to remember. Moving back to our question now. So that was 62, that was the metaplasia, simply transformation of one epithelium into the another one. Moving on to the next one, that is 63, a patient who has been smoking for a long time. Again, they are talking about the smoking for a long time. Which kind of example you can actually make out? That is the squamous epithelial metaplasia, isn't it? Okay, has a cough with viscid mucus, pale skin. Okay, he complains of general weakness after minor physical activity, lost 12 kg. Losing that much amount of weight, it can be actually some kind of cancer. In the course of the last 2 months after the biopsy material endoscopy examination, squamous cell carcinoma, guys, I told you, if the stimulus, for an example, let me take an example of Barrett's esophagus, or in this case they are talking about the smoking. So this is a case of squamous epithelial metaplasia. I told you, if the person will not stop smoking, then this metaplasia will convert into dysplasia, then anaplasia, and then malignant carcinoma situation will happen. And I told you that squamous cell carcinoma might persist over there. Same thing happened with this particular patient, that this patient is having squamous cell carcinoma, and due to that he is losing the weight. Okay, drastic weight loss is seen over here. So squamous cell carcinoma was diagnosed. They are simply asking you, not even they are asking you the type, they are simply asking you to define the character of pathological process. Definitely it's gonna be metaplasia, but I told you, for the future reference, you can please remember that what I am talking about, that what example is it. So please remember that we are talking about the squamous epithelial metaplasia, isn't it? Squamous epithelial metaplasia. Okay, in case in future they ask you the type of metaplasia, as they are playing with the options nowadays. Moving on to the next one, question number 64. After a traumatic injury of the liver, its structure and the functions renew completely. Okay, so they renew completely, and how can we term this kind of regeneration? Okay, so guys, regeneration, as I told you, that you can actually replicate this term with the healing. So healing can be also called as regeneration actually, and this healing can be having two types again. So what is the healing? First of all, it is the body response to any kind of injury in order to restore the normal structure and its functioning, right? So this healing process is actually involving two processes. What are these two processes? One is the complete regeneration, or you can say complete healing. Second one is the incomplete regeneration or incomplete healing. Okay, so there can be two choices, two processes as far as this healing or regeneration is concerned. I repeat, there can be complete healing or complete regeneration, or there can be incomplete healing or incomplete regeneration. Complete regeneration is also called as restitution. Okay, so I'm writing it over here that complete regeneration is also called as restitution. So restitution, this is the complete regeneration. Substitution is also called as incomplete regeneration. Okay, now let us understand that what do you mean by complete regeneration and what do you mean by incomplete regeneration. Complete regeneration means the replacement of the injured cells by the cells of same type, and they are not leaving any kind of residual trace of the previous injury, which means you had some kind of injury and your skin healed it back to the normal cell type without leaving any kind of scar over there. This is the case of complete regeneration or complete healing, or we can also call that as restitution, right? Incomplete regeneration means, or you can say substitution means, there is a healing of some kind of tissue with the same cell type, but that will leave a permanent scar over there. that is the example of substitution or incomplete scar. But in our question, they told you clearly that the traumatic injury of the liver and structure and functions renew completely. So this is which kind of regeneration or healing? This is the case of complete regeneration, and complete regeneration is also called as restitution. So our answer over here will be restitution, which is the D option given over here, right? If they will be saying renew incompletely, then your answer will change to substitution, which is the last option given over here in this MCQ. Okay, so I am saying again and again, they might play with these kind of tricks, so please take the option carefully, right? 65, a patient has a deep lacerated blunt edge wound covered with pus. Okay, if they're talking about pus, definitely there will be some kind of bacteria. Marginal parts are filled with succulent granulation tissue that does not rise above the wound level. Name the form of the wound healing over here. Okay, so guys, over here they want to know the form of wound healing. Okay, so I told you what is healing already. Now there are two kinds of healing forms: healing by the first intention, healing by the second intention. Healing by the first intention, we are calling that as primary union. Healing by second intention, we are calling that as secondary union. Okay, now you can listen to this explanation again and again by pausing the video and going back, and as well as I will be giving the notes for the same in the description box below, so do not worry about that. So I repeat that healing forms are two types: healing by first intention and healing by second intention. Healing by first intention, first is primary, so that is the primary union. Healing by second intention, that is secondary, so that is the secondary union. Now listen very carefully. Healing by first intention or primary union. Okay, I will be using the term as primary union. Primary union is actually clean and uninfected. Okay, so if there is some kind of healing happening, that will be the clean, and there will be no any kind of granulation tissue or any kind of infection. So that will be clean and uninfected. I'm talking about the primary union. Okay, there will be not much loss of cells and the tissue. Okay, and if there is some kind of edges of the wound, they will be approximated. They can be approximated by the surgical sutures. Okay, this is the common points which are given in the textbook. Now healing by second intention or secondary union, now opposite things will be happening. In the primary union, I told you that will be clean and uninfected. Here the secondary union will be having the infected tissues. So they will be open with a large tissue defect, there will be the granulation tissues, and they might be infected. They might be having pus over there. They will be having extensive loss of cells and tissue. Remember, in the primary union I told you there will be not much loss of actually cells and tissue, but in the secondary union I am saying there is a huge loss of or extensive loss of the cells and the tissues. Okay, and if there are the wound of the edge, okay, if there is the edges of the wound, if there are edges of the wound, they will not be approximated by the surgical suture and they might left open, right? So that is the basic difference between the primary and the secondary union. Okay, you can give a read from the description box below in the notes of the given question, right? So in this case, that as they're talking about the pus, so they are talking about the infection, and if they're talking about the infection, you can clearly make out that they are talking about the secondary union over here, and secondary union means healing by the secondary intention. Okay, so healing by secondary intention means this is the secondary union, and primary intention means this is the primary union, right? Over here, as they were talking about the granulation tissues and the pus, which means these tissues are infected, this wound is infected, so definitely they are talking about healing by which form? That is the secondary intention or secondary union. So our answer goes to the E option, that is the healing by secondary intention. So guys, this was about the compensated processes. I hope you are enjoying the sessions already. In the next one, we will be starting with the tumors. Meanwhile, please go back to the previous videos and revise them again and again, so that you are having the clear concept till these questions. And from the next one, we will be starting with the tumors. We'll be talking about the epithelial tumors, mesenchymal tumors, and then at last we'll be talking about the leukemias. Okay, that is also the very important one as far as MCQs are concerned. So if you enjoyed the session, please hit the like button, make sure you subscribe the channel, please share the videos with your friends, and I will see you in my next one. Thank you so much for watching this video. Till then, take care and bye.